Now, if you asked me what is a tier 1 energy drink or drink in general, because you can also get a caffeine-free one, just have it whenever you have some water. Obviously, I'd say a game of Supps. Here's a flavour, emotional damage. That's strawberry and peach, where the strawberry kind of comes first in the flavour and the peach rounds out at the end. It's obviously by that guy, Emotional Damage, Stephen He, or whatever his name is. Some sort of influencer type guy. Get 10% off everything on the Game of Supps store using my code Thorin, Thorin. So it's the Game of Supps store of the day. And for this one, I've got a fun one for you. This is going to be a PSA, Americans, public service announcement for CS professionals, especially you guys, because there's so many Europeans speaking English and you are all tripping up on this one. And it is making you sound silly, even though because you're all doing it collectively, you don't notice because you talk to each other. You've all said it in a million interviews. As you can see on the screen, it says it's Tyre, not Tyre. One of the reasons you don't want to be saying Tyre 1 is because the word tyre in English would be Tyre, and that has very common usage. It means the rubber thing that goes around the wheel. Like, in Formula 1, and they go to a pit stop, they change the tyres, don't they? So when you say Tyre 1, people don't know what you mean. So obviously the terminology we use, back in the day we used to just talk about the top 10. That's why I often say for me, tier 1 is the top 10. So we use tiers, T-I-E-R, and the idea is it's like stratification. So like there's tier 1, I count that as like top 10 or maybe like top 12, 15, depends how good the teams are. Tier 2 people usually mean like 10 to 20 or so. Tier 3 sort of like 20 to 40. Again, these are all loose terminology. Everyone has a different sense of it, but we all know roughly what we talk about. And we know tier 1 means you go into the big events, you compete with the real teams, you maybe have a chance to actually win a game against a real squad, etc. You're not just some also-ran who always comes last. The problem is this. People keep saying Tyre 1 instead of tier 1. You hear it all the time. Tyre 1. Now, here's what the issue is. I get why, because it's one of those examples in English of where there are other words that'll trip you up. So if you were to think of the word tiny, T-I-N-Y, means you're very small, like cute little Moses, little baby Momo. Now, tiny, T-I-N, Ty, T-I, oh, that must be Ty. So then when you say tier, T-I-E-R, that should be Tyre, because Ty and then just Tyre, right? Unfortunately, it isn't. Now, this is also tricky because another thing about English is we have loads of words that are pronounced exactly the same. Obviously, one of the all-time nightmares is the word lead because it is lead, lead. You know what I mean? It has problems, right? The problem here is there's obviously the word tear, one tear coming down your eye like a Zewu fan when he was at Blast. That one's spelt T-E-A-R. So T and then with an R on the end. Well, the word T is T-E-A. With an R, so surely that's tier, right? You could even spell it that way, but obviously you wouldn't know if someone was saying that. So anyway, just don't say Tyre. Try and say tier if you can. And it's one of those things where, look, no one really cares if you get it wrong. We all know what you mean. We instantly know, especially because you're going to say Tyre 1. We've also, all of you have all said it, so it's not a big deal, but it's one of those little public service announcements. Just try and program it into your brain. It's tier, not Tyre. Think of it this way. If you weren't in this top division of CS and you were a legendary player, you might drop a tier. It's tier 1. You might drop a tier because you'd drop a tier, wouldn't you? You'd cry and you'd drop from tier 1 to tier 2. They say no man is an island. We all need people who've got our back, and supporting me and the content on my channel are the following people: Matt Pugnatio Rajcula, The Concept, Animosity, Banediesel, Ben Glass, Jasun, Jensen Goh, Tosh, Torin, and you know it, always a special thanks goes up to my main man, Jerky's Minion. Do you want to ask a question for my video AMA? Do you want to take part in one of those lengthy discussions where I talk about whatever topics are on your mind? Do you want teasers, find out who the upcoming guests are, or maybe even to suggest a guest or a topic for my content? If any of those perks or others catch your fancy, well, put your money where your mouth is and join the Skrilluminati today, where? In the Patreon link in the description box below.